Welcome to another episode of The Remedy of Poetry, the podcast where we explore poetry and use poetry to move energy, to dive deep into our soul, and to learn how to use poetry for self inquiry, self reflection, and growth. And I really am so happy for everyone who's tuning in. Let me know how you find it. I always love feedback. And I want to read another poem today from my book, Limitless, Sharing the Word or the World Through Love's Eyes. And on this at this place, I want to thank everyone who purchased my book. And yeah, it's available in some stores in Ireland already, and it is available on Amazon. And you can purchase it on my website if you haven't. Then you can get a signed copy there. And I will pack it nicely alongside a few goodies. And I really love packaging this up for you. So yeah, so if you need a new book or if you need it as a present, let me know. And yeah, if you already have my book, I'd be very grateful for feedback. If you purchase it on Amazon, you can leave a review or just send me a review via email. That would be great. And yeah, because it helps me to share the word and the world even further. And so you would help that with that as well. Thank you. Yeah. And the poem that I chose for today is helping us to get through the transformation of the seasons. I know some of you may not be ready to think about that summer's almost gone. However, with September approaching in this hemisphere, the long and warm days are definitely shifting. I'm sorry about that, but that's how it is. But yeah, I love autumn. So I personally, I can't wait to get into the witch season. I can't wait to decorate and to do all the fun stuff and have the cinnamon smells and the apple pie and everything. So I'm a really big fan of autumn. However, I can totally understand if it's not for everyone. And yeah, there's no other season like autumn or fall to that invites us. So I say that again. There's no other season like autumn or fall that invites us to embrace change so much. So when we look at nature, we see how nature shifts and changes. And I always love to take trees as the example of wisdom, because they show us how to let go. They show us how to do the change. And in this season, often for people, things shift and change in autumn. Like for me personally, like I did my move to Ireland in autumn. So that was a very big shift. Then last year, published the book. It was a very big shift, change as well. So there's always change in the air in autumn. And the following poem is supposed to help you to flow a little easier into the next season or the new situation. And it's called Seasons of the Soul. And I invite you to maybe close your eyes, put a hand on your heart, and take in the words. Get your journals ready because you will be journaling after. And yeah, if you have the book, you can read along, of course, if you'd rather do that. Seasons of the Soul. You can't bring back the spring that let your heart blossom just because it seems too hard to deal with the darkness of winter. You can't bring back the buds of new beginnings when the process is on its way of unfolding. A tree cannot grow new leaves if it doesn't let go of the old ones. So, darling, please breathe deeply and surrender to the pain of letting go. The next spring is just around the corner, and the roses will bloom even more fully. The beauty of spring always shows up, no matter how cold and hard the winter has been. Every tiny change needs to be seen. Every leaf that falls to the ground becomes part of the nourishing soil and blends into the mud that covers the root with softness and care. Every season has its purpose, and so does every part of your soul. Only by accepting the cycle of the seasons, you can find your inner being whole. Now, I invite you to stop the recording here and journal for a moment. Journal which line stands out to you the most. Which line did you hear? And if you want to go back to the poem, I have that in the post as well, so that you can find the line and read it again, maybe. But maybe there's a line that echoes in your mind, then write it down. Or maybe it's just a feeling, then write down the feeling just for a few minutes and then continue the video. Okay, welcome back. And let's dive in to the spaces between the lines. You can't bring back the spring that let your heart blossom. So often we connect spring with a kind of joy and an openness. Like often we are connecting the seasons with our mood, actually. And we really think that we're happier in the bright time. And if that is something you struggle with, then I invite you to realize that the brightness is inside you, and the light of spring and summer is actually just reflecting that light, so that in the winter, in the darker season, in autumn and in winter, that your soul can shine even brighter. It's kind of like with a crystal, you charge the crystal in the light, and then it keeps its power, and the power is still there, even in the dark. So just don't exhaust yourself with everything that's going on with the darkness. Just keep focusing on that light within. And sometimes it seems too hard to deal with the darkness of winter. We are afraid of darkness oftentimes. We are afraid of our shadow self. That, for me, these lines depict that as well. We are afraid of our shadow selves. We are afraid of this part, of all the parts that we don't want to look at. We are afraid to reveal something that we have maybe forgotten. We are afraid to dig deeper and to maybe bring something up, but only when we stir it up, when we bring it to the light, then we can actually see it. So for me, the darker season, autumn, winter, is something to like we go internally, we go inside, we turn inwards to reflect on our growth and to reflect on ourselves so that we then can bring it up to the light in order to see it. Then it says, you can't bring back the buds of new beginnings when the process is on its way of unfolding. That is very interesting to me as well, because when something is already growing, you can't stop it. And we can't stop nature from growing. Like, well, we can stop it, but like we constantly have to do it, like cutting the grass, tap, tap, tap. We constantly have to do it, which is interesting as well, because in winter, in autumn and winter, especially, nature stops growing for a moment. And not stops, but it like kind of grows in a different way. It grows inwards. So that's a depiction for our internal growth as well. So, but if something's already started, we can't go back. And oftentimes, for me, like I had the feeling like I did a step, and my soul was already on its way, and my ego was like, oh no, I don't want to go. I kept holding on to old things, but that's not helping, because then we get hurt. Then it's actually painful if we hold on. It's like, um, if I hold on to the book and I hold on to it for longer than, like, I don't know, an hour, then my arm will get sore, and it will get really heavy, and I will experience pain. But if I let it go, the pain will be gone. So um, a lot of the pain we feel is caused by us holding on. Um, and a tree cannot grow new leaves if it doesn't let go of the old ones. That's sure. We can't learn new things if we don't let go of the old. If we don't let go of our old versions, the versions of ourselves, then we can't grow into a new version of ourselves. And that is scary, because especially when we are recovering people pleasers, as I am, then change naturally involves disappointing other people and training other people that we are not always the same. We are changing, ever changing, just like nature. And that is a little bit challenging then, to acknowledge that and to still keep growing. The next spring is just around the corner. This is about hope, and this is about knowing that this is just temporary. Like, I love this. When we look at nature, we can see that even if there's a storm outside, even if there's like a thunderstorm outside, we know it's just temporary. It will pass eventually. So instead of worrying that this will go on forever, we can just acknowledge, like, even our feelings, they come and go. And afterwards, everything will be even more nourished, bloom more fully. And the beauty of spring always shows up, no matter how hard the winter has been, means to me, no matter how hard an experience has been for me, there will come a time when I feel joyful again. And there will come a time where I feel happy or where I feel relieved or, yeah. So even though some periods may last longer and we're staying in kind of autumn season a little bit longer than usual, we still know that at some point there will come better days. And yeah, that's what I take from these lines. Um, every tiny change needs to be seen. This is about acknowledging our little steps, and we can practice that by witnessing the tiny changes in nature. Maybe you have a tree in your garden, maybe you have a flower, maybe you have a tree or a flower on your balcony or something, but you can look at that flower, that tree every day, and every day see how it's changing. And that is so soothing because these are the little steps of growth that we have inside or that we do with ourselves as well. So everything changes and it needs to be witnessed. And then every leaf, I love these lines. These are my favorite lines. Every leaf that falls to the ground becomes part of the nourishing soil and blends into the mud that covers the root with softness and care. And this is about our memories, our past experiences. This is about everything that we have let go of. They will nourish us. They will be there for us. So even if we have to leave people behind, even if we have to leave loved ones behind or old habits behind or parts of ourselves that we were kind of fond of, even if we've outgrown these versions of ourselves, but we still like think about them with a dear feeling of, ah, was so nice, like old times, right? Happy old times. And sometimes we think about that, um, and we can say that and still be happy to be here right now and see how everything that we experienced in the past kind of blends into our foundation, into the soil that nourishes us. Um, so for me, and I might get a bit teary here, but for me, all my past experiences, friends, family, everyone that I left behind in Germany, they're still there, and we still have contact. But they have they're always there in a part of my nourishing ground. They're the stuff that gives me foundation. And especially in autumn, I love to think back to that because when I left, I really experienced that with an open heart, and I really appreciate so much all the support that I've experienced through that. So the soil really is all our past experience, our everything, and also the old versions of ourselves, also every challenge that we had to overcome. This all builds the foundation of our new selves and lets us grow and nourishes the soil. And yeah, every season has its purpose. There is a big there is a big benefit in living with the cycles of nature, and with the cycles of the moon, with ebb and flow. And I think we as humans are made to flow with that. We are not made to function permanently through all the seasons in the same way. I don't think that's what we're here for. I think we are natural beings. We are humans. We are nature. And in this nature, we have a part to play, and we are part of the cycle of the seasons. However, with our lifestyle, we often get disconnected from that. So this is an invitation to connect more with the seasons and see how can you find the little things that are helping you connect with that season. If you're not someone who likes to decorate, maybe you can eat special food that's abundant in that season. Or maybe you can do things like, I don't know, jumping through puddles. That's even more connected with that season. So yeah. And also the sentence, the lines, every season has its purpose, and then only by accepting the cycle of the seasons, this also stands for the cycles of you. Like, we grow in cycles, we grow in a spiral, my idea. So we experience new things and we shed old things, and this, it's a constant movement, and we need to accept that movement, that we are not standing still all the time. And this again goes back to the letting go part, because if I cling on, like, let's say I'm on a merry-go-round and I cling on, that gets really painful. So letting go helps us to really flow with the season, with the cycles. Okay, this is my take on Seasons of the Soul. If you have other things coming up that you found interesting, please share. Write it in the comments. It's always good to hear from you, and I'd love a conversation about that as well. If you say, "Oh, Nicole, I have something coming up. I really want to talk about it," please reach out. I'm always open for that. And yeah, and then here are some journal questions to go even deeper. So the first one is, what is your relationship with change? Like, how easy is it for you to go through cycles of change? It's number one. And number two is, how practiced are you in letting go of people, circumstances that or things you cannot change? And I always have this image of, like, the tree here. The seasons happen, and the tree is just like shedding, letting fall away, growing new. It just stands very firm. So how practiced are you in letting go of people, circumstances, and things that you cannot change? Or do you try to shift them, or the thing or the circumstance? Do you hold on and try to really fight against? And then the third question is, and I think that's an important one, how can you strengthen your faith in the unfolding of life for your highest good? Because when we look at life from just our human perspective, and if we just like, that's the connection to the last poem, zoom out, zoom in, right? And then zoom out and see the bigger picture. And here it is important to have the faith that everything happens for our highest good. Because if we don't believe that, then we feel as a victim of the circumstance that's around us. Then we feel like, oh my God, nature is doing this to me. Or like, autumn is coming and I have to adjust to the season or something. And then we just keep reacting. Then we stop creating. But if we have a faith that everything is unfolding how it's supposed to be, then it's easier to let go of the control and to flow with the change. Okay, this was a long one. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful day whenever you're listening to this. I also want to note that I'm having a writing retreat coming up in Westport on the 14th of September, and you can still book in for that. It's going to be amazing. We will hand bind our own notebooks. My colleague Sonia will show you how to do that, and we will, we will do flow this day, flow creativity, and it will be all connected to the ocean and to how we can use the ocean as a metaphor for flow and tapping into our own writing rhythm. And there will be meditation and good food and connection and beach and, of course, poetry. Okay, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.